Welcome to You Can Call Me Goddess because you're so much more than a queen. My name is Manuk Vink. I am a trained intuitive energy healer specialized in transforming your body and your life. In this podcast, we are going to be diving into everything to unlock the goddess that you are within you. Think of it as the ultimate glow up from the inside out. It's time to unlock your power. It's time to unlock your magic. So sit back and enjoy the show. Hello, guys, and welcome back to another You Can Call Me Goddess podcast. So today I'm going to ask you to bear with me because I feel like I'm at about 60% of my my battery. I have had a crazy couple of days. So I was supposed to get back to, home where I am now, as you can see, if you're watching. I was supposed to get back here by Monday. I think Monday morning I was supposed to arrive or something along those lines. Well, it's Wednesday now and I got back on, when was I supposed to get back? Sunday. I was supposed to get back on Sunday. And I am back here now on Tuesday morning I got back. So I had a bunch of travel reflections. So today I had a couple of directions I wanted to go, but because of this crazy reflection situation that I am in right now, I think we're going to go walk through this reflection, and hopefully this is going to give you some deeper understanding of how reflections work, why it's so important to have a deeper understanding of them, and why they are extremely beneficial even when we absolutely hate them at times. So basically, at times, a lot of the time, but we have to learn to love these reflections. When you start looking forward to them, you're going to be so happy. But right now, I am still human. And we get into our emotional state. So basically what happened was I was supposed to fly back on the 18th of July. And I had a flight going from Salt Lake City to Chicago and from Chicago to Belgrade. Now, I was already nervous. So this is part of the reflection because I was already nervous because I had a 2-hour layover, which means an hour and 40 minutes to get to my next flight. So land in Chicago and then run to get to my next flight. Now, I was happy because I had luggage and they were going to check it through, and I was not expecting that. So that was really good. It was going to be checked through to Belgrade. The luggage is going to come back to haunt me. So I was super excited, but I was nervous at the same time that things were going to go wrong. Like, I was excited partially to go back home, also very sad, but because I really loved being in the US. It was amazing. And yeah, there's a lot to work out and work through there. But basically I was like, okay, ready to go home, ready to get back into things and, tell everybody about my amazing trip. So I was at the airport and I was already getting nervous because of this short layover that I had. And because of that, with the understandings that I have, I was like, okay, what would be the reflection of getting delayed? What would be, what can I do to prevent that? So I started working through that. Not only that, I started doing timeline healings, but I did it a little late. I did it on the day that I was going to travel. I was doing a timeline healing on the fact that I wasn't going to miss my connection. And this is where my reflection started taking off, because basically when you do certain types of timeline healings, you sometimes need some space and time for matter to reorganize itself so that it can work in your favor. Also, everything you're always creating. So I was creating a situation that I ended up in because it was trying to show me something on a grander scale. And I wanted to control the outcome so much in a controlling matter rather than in a trust and from a creation point of view that I was trying to put all hands on deck to stop any negative things from happening. So I did that. And then I got to the airport. I was definitely in my kind of stressy, emotional phase trying to make sure that I was going to make everything. And this is because it was linked to financial. And for me, a lot of my reflections and for a lot of people that I look in on, it has to a lot of the time do with financial, because we're in a space right now where that is one of the most reflective areas of life. I think it always is, but we're always worrying that we don't have enough, that we can't make a living, that we can't, especially with inflation and everything going on right now, it becomes a big thing. And I had just come from a trip that was quite an investment for me. And, even though I could do it, it is still a very emotionally triggering area of life for me, also because of the trauma and the past that I've had in regards to financial. It's very deep-seated. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that has that. So basically I was like, oh, if I miss my flight, I'm going to have to rebook. I don't know if I can do that. I was already stressing about all of the negative things that could happen. So, and I had been stressing about this for a couple of days. So fantastic, Manouk, because I just created my own worst nightmare, honestly. Well, worst nightmare, looking back, it's not my worst nightmare, but it's what I didn't want to happen. So I got to the airport and I had a gut feeling, even though I did everything, that things were not going to go as planned. My intuition was telling me it's not going to go as planned. So I went to my gate and I looked, and indeed, my flight was delayed, and then it got delayed longer. And I was like, there's no way I'm making my connecting flight. So I decided to take a next flight. I spoke to the lady at the desk, and we discussed, okay, I'm going to take a flight the following day, and I'm going to stay the night here in Salt Lake City. And then I will, because there's only a couple of flights that were going to Belgrade from Chicago, a couple of days a week, not every day. So I had 2 more days before I could fly out. So, okay, I had a little bit of an emotional situation. Thankfully, my partner was extremely supportive, and that was very helpful, very supportive, and there for me throughout the entire process, calling me at 3 a.m. While it was like, what was it for me? Like 5 p.m. at this point, or 6 p.m. And we managed to find a solution so that I could stay the night. However, my luggage had already gone. So my luggage was already on its way to Chicago. I asked the lady at the desk, okay, so how does that work? Oh, you can just go to the baggage claim and pick it up when you land so that you have your stuff. So of course I was like, okay, cool. Everything is organized. I think you can already feel what is about to happen. So here we go. And I was like, okay, I'm happy with this decision. I stayed in a hotel nearby the airport. I mean, not the best hotel experience. I think I was emotional. I was tired. So even when I looked in intuitively, maybe this was the best of all the options. I didn't have any pajamas. I didn't have all my clothes. So, I had to make do with what I had. And I had there was a lot of negative energy in that hotel room. So I didn't have a very peaceful night of sleep. Obviously, a lot of things going through my mind, and I did not put up all my protections very well for any negative dark energies. So I was definitely affected by that. I had a fun sleep paralysis evening, super fun. Haven't had that in a long, long time. So yeah, lots going on. So I was pretty exhausted. Thankfully, though, I started to look at, okay, what's the reflection of this? Not only that, what are the positives in this? So what you want to do when you have a reflection, we'll dive into that a little bit later. A reflection will show up in one area of life, but it is reflecting a different area of life. And this is where we sometimes get confused. When we talk about karma and things like that, we think it's because we've done something wrong that we get that. But it's actually when you start focusing on something negative, it becomes bigger. On top of that, when you haven't dealt with something subconsciously, it starts showing up in your external world so that you learn from that, so that you can shift out of it. And I'm going to dive into this reflection for you guys so that you have a deeper understanding of what this means. And also it's going to be beneficial for me to work through it with you guys. So basically I started looking into that and I was like, okay, delayed. I'm feeling delayed on my path. I'm feeling like I'm not getting to my destination at the time that I want to be at that destination, and it is costing me financially. So that is what I was getting. And to balance it out, you want to start looking at how that is not the case, how that is not happening at all. However, I was quite tired, right? So I was like trying to work through it, and I was like, oh, I'll get to it later. Don't ever do that with reflections, because it will come and bite you in the ass, which it did for me. So anyways, I was like, okay, so no, I did try to work through it, and I started looking at the positive. So with any situation, I'm sure you've read a little bit about the law of preparedness, where I was explaining how you want to be prepared for worst case scenario so that you have a backup plan. When you have a plan in place, most likely it is not going to happen. You also want to start looking at the positives of the negative thing the negative thing that you're trying to avoid happening, because then you neutralize it. when we want something really badly, we push it away. And this is the law of opposing forces. So the more we want something, the more we push it away. So now looking at this now, the more I wanted to not miss my connecting flight, instead of knowing that I wouldn't, I started trying to control everything on the outside to get the desired outcome instead of really sitting and working on the internal stuff. Now that I look at it, I was trying to control it so much that I lost control. And this is where we get caught up so much in a lot of ways in life. And this is one of my main, well, it's my main reoccurring soul lesson, that I feel like the external world is blocking me from achieving the thing that I want to achieve. So it's literally obstacles and things getting in the way of me being able to create. And that's also where my OCD stems from. So the OCD that I struggled with and still pops up in many ways, like spiritual OCD with this type of stuff, where I'm trying to control the external and to get control over the internal, to get control over my outside world, when in reality, it is all your creation, right? And I know this, and still, because I'm a human, you work through this stuff, and it's for me to upgrade, and actually see what is going on subconsciously, because subconsciously, we are not always aware of what is going on. And this is why reflections are so beneficial and so powerful, because they help us actually see what is going on subconsciously. And I wasn't getting all the pieces. So in this reflection, because I had a travel of reflection coming into the US, and I didn't fully work through it, and I tried to work through it even arriving in Chicago, but I was missing a component. And when you miss a component, the reflection will still show up, because it's like you haven't fully gotten to the bottom of it yet. And I think I've got the majority of the puzzle pieces now, but we'll see how that turns out. So basically what happened is I arrived in Chicago, and I started seeing the benefit of this, because I didn't want to leave the US. Part of me didn't want to leave. So I got the benefit of staying longer. On top of that, there was another girl, a fellow intuitive, that I really wanted to connect with. Like, we are very close. We text almost every day, and we were trying to connect anyways. So now she lives in Chicago, so we managed to connect and see each other. And we were going to book a hotel together, have a girls' night, and hang out and actually see each other in person. So I started seeing the benefits of all of this. I started getting excited. I was like, okay, cool. We can work with this. I can stay a little longer. I can shop a little longer in the US, and I can, enjoy this energy a little bit longer. And I get to meet someone who I've been wanting to meet in person for the longest time. And she was going to come get me at the airport, and then we were going to go hang out after I'd gotten my luggage. So I arrived. My flight was on time this time. I arrived. I went to the baggage claim, and they said, okay, that's fine. The issue is we've already sent your luggage to Terminal 5. So if you've ever been to Chicago O'Hare, I've never seen, I've traveled quite a bit. I've never seen an airport this crazy. It was so stressful for me, and it is such a big airport. There's so much going on. So I went to the baggage claim, and I asked, and they were like, yeah, we sent it already to Terminal 5, so it could take up to 1.5, 2 hours for you to get your luggage. I was like, oh, great. They said, okay, you can go to Terminal 5, and you can see if you can get it earlier. So, of course, I did. I went to Terminal 5, but my airline was not there. So nobody could help me. So I went back to the baggage claim, and they said, yeah, it could take some time. I was like, okay, cool. Is it then okay if me and my friend leave, or if I leave for a bit, if you contact me when you have my luggage? Because I wanted my pajamas, and I wanted clean clothes, and I just wanted my luggage. I think you can already feel where this is going to go. So I went. I was like, okay. But I was obviously stressing about it. So we went, and we went to go to a fast food chain, Portillo's, I think the name is. I'd never been. It's super fun. We got to hang out. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I hope they contact me soon to get my luggage. And I was obviously overthinking it, and I wanted it too bad. And now I'm catching myself because I realized I wanted it too bad. So we were sitting there and heard nothing. So we went to the hotel, checked in, and my friend Ashley was like, okay, well, why don't we go by? And I said the same thing. We go by and we check if it's there. So we drove to the airport. At this point, it's 10 p.m., almost 10 p.m. It had been about 4 hours and nothing yet. Now I go to the desk and I ask them, hey, any update on my luggage? No, we can't seem to get to it. I was starting to get irritated at this point. So they called the supervisor and he showed me, look, we can't access the luggage because it's already with the airline that is going to bring it to Belgrade and they're not here, so we can't access it. I was like, okay, cool. That's fine. Then if that's the case, we'll work with that. Can you just make sure that it is on the flight to Belgrade so I have it when I land? And he showed me his computer. He's like, yes, here, it is going to arrive. So I was like, okay, cool. Then we're good. So we went back to we went to Walmart because I needed new underwear. I needed something clean and pajamas or something. So we went to Walmart. That was a whole experience. Got some clothes. And then we went to the hotel and that was fine. It was just not the evening that I was hoping for, and I wanted to hang out a little bit more. So I felt bad at the same time that it had all gone a little bit wonky. Plus now I was nervous about my flight going out because I didn't have a boarding pass yet, and I still needed to find my luggage and make sure that that was fine. And now this other guy had told me you need to be there 4 hours before. So there was a lot of stress around it. And I think I was amplifying that stress by trying to control it too much instead of just letting it happen. And this is where there is a big lesson for me. So I told my friend, I was like, okay, listen, I also don't have so much time tomorrow. So let's just, see what we can do. And we stayed up late chatting, and then we slept in a little bit. We did a little slower morning, and then eventually headed to the airport 3 hours in advance. Like normally I don't go that early. Now I get to the airport, and as I get to the airport, the travel reflections remain. Even though me and her were both trying to work through my luggage reflection, the travel reflections were still there. The lady at the desk, super helpful, really appreciated her. She was like, we can't find a boarding pass. And I was like, please. I was like, I cannot deal with this anymore. You need to I need to be on that flight. I am over this now. So she figured it out. She was like, just wait, it's okay. I'll figure it out. She came back. She's like, I've got you a seat. I've even got you a seat next to your seat so that you can just relax and get some rest, which I didn't in the end, but it's fine. I was just grateful. And I said to her, okay, one last thing. Here is the bag tag number. Can you please make sure that my luggage is on the flight? Again, trying to control instead of trust that everything was going to work out. She's like, don't worry, I'll find it. I'll make sure that it is there. So I was like, okay, cool. Got through security, did everything. And basically, yeah, that was fine. I was at the airport with more than enough time, hung out there for a little while, got on the plane and landed at home. Totally exhausted, only slept an hour just because I couldn't get comfortable and the jet lag and everything. So yesterday I was a mess. I was like, there was nothing. I had no energy. I was like half in this realm, half somewhere else. I don't even know if you've ever been through jet lag. It's so much easier going to the west than the other way around. Horrible. So I landed and I was already stressed. I was already nervous. I was already creating my luggage not being there because that's how powerful we are. So we get to the baggage belt and my human self was stressing out. And I saw one luggage that looked exactly like mine. I was like, oh my God, thank God, it's here. Got it. It's not mine. So I started waiting and I started getting more nervous and you guys can guess it. My luggage did not arrive. So at this point, I'm upset because I was really excited to have all my stuff, like all my clothes were in there. I had gotten some supplements from the US that I was very excited about. I bought myself a cowboy hat. I got, just the things that I really was excited to unpack and have. And it's frustrating when you're like, it's right there, which is probably part of my reflection as well. It's right there. And I started second guessing my decisions that I had made because I was like, oh, what if I just went on that flight that was booked for me, because I decided to stay a night longer in Salt Lake because I didn't want to arrive in Chicago at midnight and look for a hotel and do all of that. And I wanted to make it more comfortable for myself. So I could have arrived with my luggage and then just had my luggage. And so obviously subconsciously, I'm also beating myself up about that. because I could have just had it, right? And now it's not with me and it's not there. And I tried to, even though I asked multiple times if it was going to be on the flight, I tried to control it from every angle that I could. So, as you can see, there is nonstop travel reflections going on. And I was like, okay, what is this? What is this reflection with travel? The thing that I keep getting to was like, okay, I'm feeling delayed. I'm feeling delayed on getting to the destination. And there is this level of needing to trust that even if I get to the destination later, I am going to get to it no matter what. Like I will get to where I need to be, even if it's delayed. And if you listen to my previous podcast, there's a big lesson in there for me not trying to anticipate or expect a certain outcome or a certain path, and trusting that source, my higher self, and the path that I'm going down is going to get me to where I want to be, and probably even better, right? So the beautiful lesson that I learned with hiking in Moab and going down all these little paths on the way to the final view, right? I wouldn't have gone down those little paths. I wouldn't have experienced the things down those little paths had I not listened to my intuition, had I not allowed myself to enjoy and soak up those moments. It's the paths that you least expect to go on, the little side tracks that you go on that are going to bring you the most joy, experience, and beauty in life. And if I were to just drive through the park and get to the final viewpoint, I wouldn't have had the same experience. Now, this all is tying in together with what is happening here, because I'm so focused on getting to the destination that I am blocking myself from experiencing certain paths. I am trying to control the outcome so much that I am not trusting that what is going to happen is going to be the best for me, that I am trying to control the outcome instead of something better, right? So it's this or something better. And had I not missed my flight, I would not have got to hang out with Ashley. So I would have missed out on that opportunity. I would have not had some extra time in the US. And now I was trying to control another thing, and the things that I value, the things that I want most and value the most are now being delayed. So that is where the reflection is. So how reflections work. They will show up in one area of life. So in this situation, it's showing up in the physical. It's showing up in the physical area of life with my travel plans and with my luggage. But it is reflecting, because it's triggering me, it's reflecting another area of life. If I didn't care about it so much, it wouldn't affect me so much, right? So if I was delayed by an hour, it wouldn't have done the same thing. I could have, because I didn't have my luggage in the 2 nights that I was traveling, I could have gotten the lesson from that, but I obviously wasn't grasping the lesson fully, and therefore it had to escalate to this situation where I now don't have my luggage and it's in a different country and I'm not sure I will get it, right? So had I fully worked through the reflection in Chicago, and had it bothered me more, right? And had I gotten to the bottom of it more, and I would have figured it out and flipped it, I probably would have my luggage by now. But because I didn't work through it far enough, and I didn't see the intensity of it enough, and it didn't affect me as much as it does now, I am missing out on a lesson. So this is how reflections work. With any obstacle, with any reflection, when we don't tackle the smaller reflections and we don't work through them and fully grasp what is going on there, we don't treat them like a level 10 reflection, and we kind of shove it to the side and we go, oh, I'll deal with that later. It is going to escalate. Like with any obstacle, if we ignore an obstacle, we try to move around it, you're going to get a bigger obstacle, because the obstacle is here to allow you to upgrade. Now, when we don't take the obstacle seriously enough, the obstacle is going to intensify so that we take it seriously. this is where sometimes we will have situations like the law of preview. So the law of preview is a universal law. That means that you can start seeing an upcoming reflection before it happens. So if you remember in the beginning of the year, I ended up in a car crash. Now, I ended up in this car crash, and before I ended up in the car crash, I had a near incident where something went wrong, and I had seen a car crash happen or seen something around that. Before this trip, I had seen a lot of airplane crashes, so I was trying to work through that. But there is something with travel and movement and getting to my destination that I didn't fully figure out. And because I didn't fully commit and I didn't check in intuitively, I'd worked through the reflection, now it was going to pop up. So that's why that car crash happened. I didn't work through it fully and didn't learn my lesson yet. So I got into an intense enough situation that showed me, okay, you need to crack this reflection because you're not getting the point. You're not getting the full understanding of this. And it is showing up in an area that you care about most right now so that you actually work through it. If it were to show up in an area that I don't care much about or that I can put on the back burner, like maybe with a friendship not doing what I wanted it to do, or my friend not showing up for me in a way, or I don't know, in any other way that I was like, I can deal with that later, it wouldn't be intense enough. So I wouldn't look into the reflection. Now, I have a big thing, especially with I told you, with control and getting to where I need to be. And especially if it starts affecting me financially, it starts affecting me deeply because that is a trigger point for me. Yes, we're getting a thumbs up. That is a trigger point for me. So that's where it hurts. So the reflections are going to go to where it hurts so that you pay attention, so that you do something about it. So if it used to be the physical body for me. So it used to be the physical body, so it would show up in my body. Now, does that mean that it will never show up in my body? No, it has. I had a rash in between my legs randomly one of these evenings, and I have one behind my on the backside of my armpit. So there is something about me being irritated by not being able to hold it together. And all of these reflections, so what reflections do, they point to 2 or 3 big things in your life, but they're all connected to one big thing. And once you understand your full soul lesson, you'll see that they all lead back to your soul lesson. So the thing that you need to overcome. So again, here, external things affecting me getting to where I need to be, external things affecting me getting the things that I value most, and them holding me back or delaying me in getting the things that I value and delaying me getting to the destination that I want. And there is a lack of trust in that it will just happen. If I don't control it, then I feel like things will not happen. Now, as you can see, this reflection is showing me that when I try to control it too much, I actually create bigger problems. So for those of you who struggle with this, and I totally feel you because as you can see, I struggle with this as well. When we try to control the outcome too much, how many of you, raise your hand, have been in a situation where you want something to work out so perfectly that you try to control every aspect of it, and because of that, you actually create bigger problems? Now, I have people in my life that I know of as well that want things to work out so perfectly. And because they want things to work out so perfectly, they end up ruining the thing because they are too focused on controlling the outcome. Now, there is a difference with trying to control it and not trusting that it's going to work out, and setting everything in motion and knowing that it was going to be okay. So with me, I didn't have an inner knowing that it was going to be okay. Even now, there is a level that I need to work through where I need to create a knowing where it is going to be okay. Now, the question that comes up, right? So do you do that in the reflection that you're in? So for me, I need to have a knowing that it's going to be okay even if I don't receive my luggage, that it's going to be fine. How is that better than me receiving my luggage? Yes, you want to work on the reflective component. So you want to work on where it's showing up in your life, but you also want to work where it's pointing to. And it can be very difficult to figure out where it's pointing to. That's where intuition is very helpful. And when you have a deeper understanding of reflections, it's very helpful to start understanding where it's pointing to. And this is the thing with the reflections, right? Even me mastering this and understanding reflections, they will always lead to a deeper thing. And it's so much easier for me to intuitively look in for somebody else to pull the reflection, because as humans, we get emotional about our reflections, right? So it's sometimes difficult to get to the nitty gritty, where I can look at someone else's situation and fully be like, oh, I know what's going on here, because we go in with a clear mind. Same thing if you're giving like relationship advice and you're giving that relationship advice. And when you're giving that relationship advice, you can clearly see what's going on. But if it's in your own relationship, you really struggle. Or with the body, with anything, with business, with financial abundance. It's so much easier for us to see it in someone else than it is to see it for ourselves. And it works the same way with intuition. Because yes, I can intuitively check, but I will still interpret it in a way that, I can still get emotional about it, or I can still, be very human about it. So for me, I was like, oh, I got the delayed thing. There's probably not more that I need to look into. But then the deeper we look, the more we find. So there's a deeper thing with trust. Me coming into the US and me being blocked at the customs and being detained, there was a trust component there. Me not trusting myself, right? Me not trusting myself with being able to get to my destination. Me not trusting myself being the right person to get to my destination in comparison to everybody else. And honestly, this is clicking into place now. And I hadn't fully received that. So the reflections needed to escalate. So now the delay, work through how it's okay that if I'm delayed, I'm still going to get to my destination and probably receive something better. And trusting that if I don't try to control it from the external and work through it internally and then let it go, let it be what it needs to be. This ties back in to Moab and me asking, why am I here? And having an idea of what needed to happen in order to grow my business. Whereas Source had something better in mind. My higher self had something better in mind, and I didn't let go and allow that better in mind to manifest. I tried to control the situation. I tried to focus on where it needed to be. And once we try to control and contain the situation, we don't allow for that something better to come in. We don't allow for the thing that is actually better for us to manifest. So that's happening to me right now, right? I tried to control from every angle that the thing that I wanted would happen by talking to people, by looking at it, instead of going internally and being like, why is this happening? How is this happening for me? What is this trying to show me? And on a deeper level, for me, vocation. So vocation, for those of you who aren't too clear on that, vocation means your soul path, soul pull career, basically. So the career that you're meant to be doing in this life, what you're meant to do in this life. So my business is my soul path, soul pull right now. And my vocation, there is a lack of trust that I am going to get to where I want to be. And so I'm trying to control every aspect of it in order to get to where I want to be, instead of having an inner knowing that it is too big to fail. And that everything that I do is getting me to where I need to be. And not allowing things to unfold as they're meant to unfold. Instead, this is where my OCD is coming in, because that has a lack of confidence. That has to do with lack of confidence that I'm good at the thing that I'm doing, right? It is, instead of that, trying to put everything in place so that it cannot fail. And there's nothing wrong with that, but there's a lack of trust that once I've done that it's going to work out, because I keep double checking. Is it going to work out? Is it going to work out? Is it going to work out? Instead of being like, okay, I've set everything in motion, press play, and I know that it is going to work out because I've set everything in motion, so nothing can fail. You see the difference, the nuance in setting everything in motion and then still not being sure, and setting everything in motion and then knowing now it's too big to fail, I've done everything. Then if something pops up, instead of going, see, I knew it was going to fail. No. You go instead and you look in and you go, okay, so I guess I'm missing a piece there. Let me rearrange that and now it should work. Again, we're going to go back to the bread analogy, right? If I were to be sure of my step by step of making a bread. And I knew that, okay, I missed a step, or the bread didn't work out, and I know that I did something different. So keeping track of each and every step that I took and being like, oh shit, I did add in more water because I was curious what that was going to do. And then basically knowing, because I added more water, the bread didn't work out the way that I wanted to work out. Instead of just randomly doing all kinds of things in the background to try and fix it, and I do a little bit of flour, a little bit of water, and a little bit extra. Now I'm not controlling the steps that I'm taking, and now I don't know what I've done to shift it, and I don't have an inner knowing of that one ingredient that I'm missing in order to create the desired outcome. The same thing here. So with the luggage, I just went to external people to make sure that it was in place, instead of looking internally and being like, okay, what is this reflecting to me? Why do I feel like I don't have control over me getting the things that I value? Why do I feel like I don't have the control over, getting to my destination in time? Why can't I just know that I've taken the steps, done everything that I needed to do, and trust that it is going to arrive, even if it arrives delayed? Even if I arrive delayed, that is because there is something better. So I need to gain that experience. Without being delayed, I wouldn't have gained the experience and the understanding that I do now. Plus, I wouldn't have got to spend time with someone I value a lot in my life and actually meet them in person and have that experience. So it's this or something better. And I'm not allowing the something better to come in. I'm trying to control it from every single aspect that is blocking me from the something better coming in. And I feel you, because I know what this is like, and I know that we struggle with this. As humans, we struggle with this because there is a lack of trust that we can get to the destination from simply our own creator power, from simply shifting and tapping into what we are capable of creating from within, without worrying about the external affecting us. So that is what I wanted to talk through to you now. And in the next couple of days, so now there's a big lesson for me that I still need to fully shift. I need to look into so what I mentioned earlier, you want to look into the physical area of life where it's happening. So it's happening in luggage. So first balance that out. Okay, see how it is perfect that my luggage is not going to be here. And then look at the reflective area. So the reflective area being my vocation. How can I start trusting that I've done everything that I could, that the things that I value will come to me, that I will get to the destination? And instead of questioning it, knowing that it will. There's a difference with questioning and hoping that it will and knowing that it will. We want to get out of the hope. We want to get into the knowing. So I need to get into the knowing that it will work out for both sides. My luggage arriving or not, and just know that it's going to be fine either way. Me getting the things that I value or already having them. It's another added thing here. I already have the things that I value. I do. I have my dogs, supportive partner. I have a place to stay. I've got food. I've got clothes. I've got you guys. I've got my camera. I've got my mic. I can still get the supplements, probably through a different avenue. So now let's plug and play that into my vocation. Still getting me the things that I value. I would not have gone on this trip without it. I would have not connected with the people that I have had I not trusted my intuition, trusted the steps that I'd taken. So yeah. Food for thought. Yes, this is where the jet lag is kicking in. Food for thought and a little lesson on how reflections really work. They can be extremely tough, and we're only scratching the surface of what these reflections can do, how many layers to it. Like I mentioned earlier, the law of preview, it can be very look, this taken me years to figure out, and I'm still figuring it out. for myself and in deeper levels. So if you want to dive deeper into these topics and you want to get a deeper understanding, this is why we host weekly webinars to come in with your questions so we can start unlocking and uncovering what your reflections are trying to tell you on a deeper level so that you can start shifting them and not get to the stage where you lose your luggage and actually get it beforehand, right? Actually catch it before it happens, or see the value in this upgrade, because every obstacle, everything that you are struggling with is an upgrade. It is for you to start stepping into a new version of yourself and unlocking a next level in your life. So when we can start seeing it that way, and I can start seeing, okay, cool, this is a massive upgrade in my life. This is a massive upgrade in my life. And actually, let me look in. This is a 6 out of 10 reflection for me is what I'm getting. So this isn't even a 10 out of 10. So if I catch it now, I might not have to get to the 10 out of 10 reflection unless I really need to learn that lesson. So this is the value of this. We can start looking into how we can decode these things. So I could have caught it earlier. And because I was being lazy and I didn't actually look into it, now it had to escalate to where it is today. So I hope you enjoyed this mini lesson on reflections. And yeah, as you can see, I'm still working through this stuff and it's fantastic because I get very upset about, like, even I need to really balance it out because yes, I could probably get compensated and buy all my new things, right? I could all buy it. But there's something with me wanting my own stuff and wanting my things. And I'm sure you can identify with that. And that's where my human self is like, no, but I want my things. I don't want new things. I just want the things that I got because it's more valuable to me. There's a layer in that, right? There's a layer in that, and not getting what I want, not getting what I was promised. So looking into that component of it, that is where you get to the nitty gritty of it, because maybe you losing your luggage, you'll have a different experience to me. It might not be as big of a deal to you as it is to me, or a bigger deal. And it might hurt different areas of your life where it hurts other areas of my life. And this is where we get to the deeper core of not only what you value, but also what it is reflecting. And so I'm going to sit with this. I'm going to work through this, and I will keep you guys updated. In the next podcast, you will definitely hear about the outcome of the luggage and see if we got to the bottom of the reflection. And even if we did and it didn't work out, what else is there to learn here, or what is that telling us? Because this is where it gets a little complicated. And that's why these live events that I host every week, we really get to the nitty gritty of these things. And you can come in and ask your reflective situations, and I can give you some intuitive input on what it is trying to show you and what it is trying to coach you on, so that it doesn't need to escalate, so that you can have a deeper understanding of what all of this means. All right, beautiful. I hope you enjoyed this podcast with my real life reflections. If you did enjoy this and you want to hear more about things like this, more of these personal stories, they help you connect the dots, then please let me know, because I love walking you guys through this, not only for you, for me, it's fantastic. I get new input, and I love to hear what you value, what gets you to click things into place. And please feel free to let me know what it is that you want to dive deeper into, because this is for you to start expanding and tap into more things. And through that, I also expand more. So it's a win-win-win-win-win. And that is what these podcasts are all about. All right, beautiful. Have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, night, whatever time of day it is for you there, as I work through my jet lag. And I hope to see you tonight in tonight's webinar, or very soon in another webinar, or in the next podcast episode. Thank you so much for listening to You Can Call Me Goddess. I am so happy that you joined us in this show today. If you feel like this podcast gave you any sort of life change or value, then share it with someone you think would also get a lot of value out of it, because maybe it could just be that one thing that changes that person's life. If you enjoyed the show, please give it a nice rating below or in the show, because we would love to expand more on topics that you enjoy and keep this podcast up and running. Anyways, thank you, beautiful, and I hope to see you in the next podcast.